going on, everybody? So we got another Saturday troubleshoot call. Had this call yesterday, but just wasn't going to have time to make it out here. So came back out this morning on overtime, thankfully. Did some work on this unit a while back, and now it's having some problems again that are somewhat reoccurring. This unit has what we call an inline check valve. Now, some of you may know what a check valve is. All it is a one-way valve. When we say it's inline, meaning it doesn't go into a tank, it's directly into the airline's piping system. So we call it an inline check valve. And it's really not that different than a tank check valve. Only difference is one's in a tank, one's on the plumbing. So the issue we're having now is this unit. It's a piston unit, and it's got a safety valve at the top of the high pressure side of the stage of compression, and it keeps blowing this safety. Now, the first time I put in these new check valves, I was kind of popping the safety just slightly, but not too much. So I figured maybe we just have a weak safety. It was a 75 psi safety valve. So then I put in a 100 psi safety valve, which is still a little bit more than you should put on there, but I wanted to see if it's going to still pop it again. If it was able to hold, maybe we'll get a little bit more life out of the valves. A few days ago, we had another technician go out there. Same problem again. It's blowing the safety valve, but he didn't know that I already upped the PSI on it, and I had no idea that this problem was occurring again. So if this is still continuing to happen, then we probably have a problem with the valves, but we're going to go out there to confirm it and see what we can do. So I'll show you guys when I get there. Right here is where our problem lies. It's blown the gasket on the aftercooler. The safety valve is not blowing. This doesn't look like a new check, or it does look like a new one, but this is a 150 psi safety valve. It's definitely way too big, but this is where our problem is. We're leaking from the gasket on the aftercooler. So as it's pumping the air, it's just losing the pressure right here. So it's basically compressing it for nothing. This is our low pressure side, and this is our high pressure side. And this is our low pressure intake valve, and this is our low pressure discharge valve. High pressure intake valve, high pressure discharge valve. And these are the new check valves that I put in. So it's not leaking back any air, which is good. Only problem being is we have a blown gasket, and that's no bueno, obviously. It is a service center for a car dealership, and they're using this air for painting, and if they're losing all this pressure, no air is going to come out of that paint gun at a high enough rate in order to keep up with it. I'll have to see if I can make a gasket for it, because I do have gasket material on my truck, luckily. But first things first, we're going to remove... Damn it. We're going to remove these bolts and take this whole aftercooler off. And let's keep in mind, these things are very hot, so I'm wearing some thick gloves. But the good thing is these aren't corroded on too bad. Okay, so looking at these now, surprisingly only one side of the intercooler actually had a gasket on it to begin with. So how this was sealing before, I don't know. By the grace of God, I guess. But I already scraped the gasket off this one. This one, as you saw when we pulled it off, just looked like straight metal. At first I thought it was like a wax type gasket. Some of the gaskets that have like more like a waxy material on them will look gray, kind of like this. So I thought that's what was on there. But then once I took my my knife to it, I noticed there's really not a whole lot. I could see where there might have been some before, but I really don't think it melted away or anything like that. But regardless, we'll make a gasket for both of these, some new ones, and we should be good to go. Okay, so one little trick to making your own gaskets. Obviously you want to get a piece big enough for what you're going to do it for. This is the way I've been taught. I'm pretty sure there's other ways of doing it. Once you have it on there, just hold it down and you start hitting it around the piece that you're going to need. Now it's somewhat crude, but we're not going for any awards here. All we really want is something that we can use to form a gasket, and that's all we're interested in. Who gives a shit what the thing fucking looks like when it's done? As long as it works, correct? You can also use the ball end of it. And of course, you know, it doesn't look pretty. And when you want to make your bolt holes, take the ball peen side of your hammer. And we just fucked that one up, so. Oh, it might be salvageable. We'll try it out. It doesn't take too long to make another one of these. Fuck. Oh well. So it doesn't look the prettiest, obviously. I'm definitely not proud of it, but if it'll work, it'll work. Now, once we're on this side of the bolt, as long as we're sealing everything else around it, it should do fine. So we'll make a second one for it. I won't even show you guys how ugly that one comes out, but if it works, it works. If it seals it, it seals it. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so another quick note. If you're gonna make the bolt holes, you know, we seriously didn't make them that great on this one, obviously, but who cares? Having the smallest ball peen hammer that you can get to make one of these bolt holes is going to work out just fine. Now these are not threaded. I could drill it, but I don't really want to do that. I don't want to have any chance of really fucking anything up and, you know, it having problems lining up and creating a gap too big, whatever. I really don't think it'd be an issue, but I'd rather just avoid it and just do it this way. But if you have a smaller ball peen hammer for when you're doing gaskets like this and you're making your bolt holes, having a smaller ball peen definitely comes in handy for this. This is just the smallest one I have, and you can grind them down, really, if you can, but really just the smallest one is what you're looking for. I would prefer to get the end started first just so that way you have something to help you hold it up. And then you can start going for the ones in the middle, kind of help start holding your gasket in place as well. But as you guys can see, the groove or the curve around where we made our bolt holes kind of help hold our gaskets in place for us. But you know, of course, if they were perfectly round, then there'd be no question that they'd be in place, but I think we're good here. Best combination ever, Snap-on ratchets and Pittsburgh sockets. And these are 1/4-inch sockets. I don't really find the need to have Snap-on 1/4-inch drive sockets. In the compressor industry, I never come across anything where I need that much reliability on a 1/4-inch drive socket. And I do have multiples of those sets just because they're so cheap and they're nice to put them in multiple kits. As you guys know, I like to have grab and go kits ready to go for all kinds of things. And we don't want to over tighten these because this head is aluminum. And if we over tighten it, it's very easy to strip it out. So all we're looking for is just to make sure it's on there tight enough. Squeeze those gaskets and seal it. So tighten it till it cracks and back off half a turn. Moment of truth. Now, I don't know how well you're going to be able to hear the air leaking if it does. And I don't know how well you were able to hear the air leaking the first time before we pulled this off and we're checking it. But if you can hear it, or if you don't hear it, whichever way what happens, here we go. We're going to test run it. Careful when you're touching these can get very, very hot. That's why I'm wearing big gloves. Looks like we're good. I can't feel any air coming out and I can't hear it. But that's it. Really, there wasn't a whole lot there to it. Now it's time to fill out the work order. So, as you guys can see, this problem wasn't really too hard of a thing to fix. Which again is why I chose to put this on YouTube. But those gaskets are something that can blow out pretty often on any manufacturer. This one happens to be a Sailor Buell, but I've seen those gaskets on aftercoolers blow out on Ingersoll Rand, Curtis. You name it. There's all kinds of brands out there. You know, just as many car manufacturers there's just as many compressor companies. But those gaskets are somewhat of a weak point because those aftercoolers can get up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty hot. And you know, if those gaskets can't handle the temperature, they're gonna blow out. And you know, as you can see, that thing is old, and I can tell you guys that system is older than I am, and I'm 22 years old. And as far as my knowledge, that's the first time those things have ever been replaced or even touched. You know, I definitely know when I replaced the check valves on them, that was the first time those ever got touched. And you know, for the customer to get this long a life out of that system is actually pretty good. And if you notice, when we take those aftercoolers off, there's no real like carbon buildup in them or any kind of signs of oil passing through the cylinders, which is really good. So those pumps are rocking and rolling real awesome. And so it was just a simple problem, came to fix it. Just thought I'd show you guys along, and please let me know if you like the video. So like it, comment, subscribe if you guys haven't already. I really like seeing the subscription numbers go up because then I know chances of people seeing my videos is more likely. I know some of you know this when you see it in my comments in different places. I actually make no money off of YouTube. I know some of my videos have advertisements and commercials, I profit nothing from those. I do not monetize any of my videos and claim full ownership of them. I mean, no, I will say they're mine and all that, but I make no money off of them. I solely do this as a hobby and for the as a creative activity. I did play drums growing up, and living in an apartment now, obviously I can't play drums. So I really like recording these and editing videos. It's kind of my creative outlet, and you know, it's something to kind of blow steam off a little bit and show you guys something interesting and cool. So, you guys, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope everybody else has a good weekend. And I'll catch y'all on the next one.